Hey everyone, how's it going? This is episode 2 of Millennial Buddhist Podcast. Hello everyone, welcome to episode number 2 of the Millennial Buddhist Podcast. I am Marvin, and today I have a very special guest. I interviewed my good friend Lowell Cook. Lowell is presently a professor at the Rangjung Yeshe Institute for Buddhist Studies in Kathmandu, Nepal. He's going to talk about what's it like being a professor there. Also, we're going to talk about what it's like being a student there also, because I did spend some time studying. Lowell's going to tell us how he got started, what his path was like. He's also going to be talking about his travels into Tibet. So please stay tuned and enjoy. This is episode 2 of Millennial Buddhist Podcast. Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Millennial Buddhist, and I'm joined today by my very, very good friend and special guest. He's coming to us live all the way 9,000 miles away from right here in my closet, Dallas, Texas. He is in Kathmandu. Give it up, everyone, for the magnificent, the magical, and always mysterious Lowell Cook, everyone. Say hello, Lowell.
Hi, everyone. Greetings from Nepal.
How are you doing today? It's nighttime here, but morning there. Thank you so much for taking the time to do this with me.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
How are things for a rooftop prince? Lowell lives on top of he has a nice little apartment that's on top of a roof on the main road in Bouldernath. So how are things there?
Good. We just got some rain last night, so it kind of cleared out the smog and dust. And there's a beautiful blue sky. I can see the prayer flags flying in the wind, and I can see just the very, very tip of the famous Bouldernath stupa.
Wow, that's beautiful, and it's very picturesque, and it's something that you get to see every single day if you have the opportunity to live in Nepal, to study in Nepal and Kathmandu. Especially at the Rangjung Yeshe Institute, which we're going to talk about today because my good friend Lowell here is a professor now. There was a time when he and I sat in a classroom together, and now he's standing up. So I'm very proud of him, and he's going to speak about that. But I really want to start off to know about who is Lowell. Take us into the mind of Lowell, but tell me a little bit about yourself from the beginning. How did you encounter the Dharma? And just tell people like a little brief history about yourself.
Yeah. So most people don't get the full story, but so I'm going to tell you all the long story, but hopefully not make it too long. So basically how I first encountered the Dharma, or first got interested in Buddhism, is kind of an interesting story. I wasn't raised with any particular religion. Actually, my grandfather was like a Protestant pastor on my mom's side. So she was Christian. My father kind of grew up Catholic, but for whatever reason, both of my parents didn't raise me with any kind of particular religious upbringing. So definitely a Christian kind of cultural background, but were baptized and never grew up going to church. However, when I was graduated from middle school, I was about to enter high school, my father presented me with the opportunity to go to a private school, Catholic school, in fact. And yeah, it sounded like. And so I started going to Catholic school, where I kind of suddenly became an outsider, not being Christian, much less Catholic. However, we had to take theology classes every semester. And for me, those were the most fascinating and interesting classes. But because I approached it as an outsider, I think I had a different experience and different perspective from the other students. So when I finished high school and went to college, I ended up doing a major in religious studies.
Where'd you go to school?
And I went to school in Asheville, North Carolina, at the University of North Carolina at Asheville.
Okay. But you're originally from Atlanta, right?
Yeah, born and raised in Atlanta.
Nice. ATL representing.
Yeah, good old Atlanta. Yeah, so I did a major in religious studies, and uh, religious studies we studied the history of religion in America, sociology of religion, psychology of religion, history of Islam, history of Buddhism, history of Judaism, and so on and so forth. The whole range of religious traditions and their histories. But yeah, for whatever reason, it was Buddhism that always was capturing my attention. So when I graduated from university, I was working in Asheville and realized that I just wanted to continue studying. So I had heard about this. I had heard about the Rangjung Yeshe Institute,
Okay.
and actually, in a course I took back in college, I was lucky enough to have a course on Tibetan Buddhism that really kind of, first introduced me to the Dharma as it's known in Tibet. So yeah, a few times a year, I would check the Rangjung Yeshe website, kind of fantasize about studying there.
Wow.
But it was only until I finished university that I decided suddenly, I want to keep studying.
Mm-hmm.
Rangjung Yeshe has, great language programs. Language is one of my interests. I can do a master's studies, and then everything came together really quick. And before I knew it, I was over there with you.
Okay. So you said that you fantasized about Nepal and about Rangjung Yeshe Institute. So when you first arrived, was it what you had fantasized about, or was it different?
Yeah, uh, as they say in Nepal, same, but different. Of course, it's never going to be exactly as you imagined. It's the real thing, but it also wasn't complete. Well, also wasn't unexpected.
Okay. So how did your family react when you were like, you know what, I want to continue my studies overseas in Nepal? What were they thinking?
Well, my family's always been supportive and very thankful for that. And actually, my dad had been to Nepal in 82 or 83
Oh,
to do
wow.
some trekking. And that was actually I think one of the reasons why I'd always been interested in Nepal and Buddhism.
Mm-hmm.
Growing up, seeing the slides, the photographs he took from his trek, and hearing stories. And he had a bell and vajra that he kept on a table. And I remember trying to figure out what that was for when I was a kid. So I think that kind of planted some seeds in me when I was younger. But
Yeah, I think so.
But yeah, my parents have always been supportive, as I'm doing something positive. I'm happy with where I'm at, and they're also happy.
That's cool. It's really awesome that you have a family that's supportive, and you know, it's nice to feel love on the other side of the world when you're so far away. So, did your dad have any slides of the stupa? Like, do you think that may have blossomed or planted a seed inside of
Oh,
you?
yes. I don't think he went to the Bodhanath stupa, actually. He did
Okay.
go to the Swinebu, the monkey
Okay.
temple.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, I don't
The
think
other
he
white
went.
temple.
Right.
That's cool. Oh. So what was it like to study in the Shedrow? So you're very good at languages, and especially when it comes to learning new languages, writing and speaking. I can attest for that. If you follow Lowell on social media or WeChat, for example, you can see that he's real good at that at Tibetan. So, how was learning a different language for you? And what other languages do you know other than Tibetan?
Mm, Prior to Tibetan, I had been living in Prague for a few years and
Mm-hmm.
was learning Czech. And of course, growing up in the States, we took Spanish, or yeah, since fourth grade or something. But
Mm-hmm.
um, yeah, learning Tibetan was obviously, it's a completely different language than Spanish or Czech. It's Tibetan's classified as a Sino-Tibetan language in the Sino-Tibetan language family.
What does that mean,
So
Sino?
it's a language family that includes some languages in China and Tibet.
Okay.
And also then I think a subclass is the Tibeto-Burman language families. Um, yeah, so there's basically like no cognates. It's obviously a completely different script.
And you also, I think I've seen you dabble in Japanese and Chinese, right?
Um, yeah, actually, I've learned a little bit of Chinese.
Historical Tibet. And so you studied when you're in the Shedrow. You study classical Tibetan. You also study colloquial Tibetan. So basically, you study the things that are going to help you as far as reading and understanding Buddhist philosophy for reading the text. But then you also get to have the opportunity to speak, common everyday Tibetan, and you have language partners there, and it really helps when you're going through and around the neighborhood. So when you were, home in the motherland in eastern Tibet, like, were you able to understand people, and were people able to understand you when you were speaking Tibetan?
Yeah, so yeah, to answer your question, there's a few different dialects in Tibetan, and yeah, here in Nepal and in India, they speak the Central dialect, and that's sort of the lingua franca for the Tibetan government in exile and for all Tibetans in exile.
So it's Lhasa
So,
Tibet, right?
yeah, exactly. Yeah, Lhasa Ke, Lhasa dialect. Um, and that's quite different than what they speak in Eastern Tibet.
Mm-hmm.
However, kind of having a basis in Central dialect kind of gave me a nice launching point to learn the Eastern dialects. Um, and I have to say, I'm quite biased, having studied at Rangjung Yeshe, but I really think it's probably the best place to learn Tibetan.
Okay.
There's a few places in India,
Uh-huh.
Sukya, that in the Tibetan Library of Works and Archives that are supposed to be good. But there's something about the curriculum they have here at Rangjung Yeshe,
Mm-hmm.
and also just the environment that, yeah, it's extremely conducive to both Buddhist studies and language.
Okay. So about the language studies at Rangjung Yeshe Institute. So me, learning new languages isn't exactly my strong point. I have other strong points, but learning languages is not one of them. So what would you say to anyone who might be a little apprehensive about coming, because they think maybe their adaptation of a new language might not be an easy journey for them? What would you say?
Um, you can definitely see all sorts of types here at the Institute. People who have the mind that's designed for language, and others who don't, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I think most people's goal in coming here is to basically learn the Dharma.
Mm-hmm.
And, if you can read the original texts in Tibetan or Sanskrit or what have you,
Mm-hmm.
then a lot of people feel like it's gives you different insight into the Dharma and how it's
Mm-hmm.
presented.
Mm-hmm.
However, I don't. The Buddha himself said to as many different languages as possible. And that's actually one of our goals in learning Tibetan, is to translate the Buddhist scriptures and help transfer the Dharma into English and other modern languages. So, I mean, learning Tibetan, it's every little bit helps to, read text and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's definitely not necessary to practice. Because the word for Dharma in Tibetan is chu. And chu, it comes from this root meaning to change or transform.
Mm-hmm.
So the Dharma just simply means to change your mind.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no, shift your mind to a more positive state, to make positive improvements in the way you think and perceive the world and others. There's no language prerequisite for that. It's, something internal.
Right. So, the Shedrow, the Rangjung Yeshe Institute, and once you get there, people just commonly refer to it as the Shedrow, and Shedrow means college in Tibetan. So, and that's my comfortable word. Instead of Rangjung Yeshe Institute or RYI, or I just like to say the Shedrow. So at the Shedrow, they also offer some online courses, right? So there are online language and online philosophy courses. So do you think if someone may not be able to come to Nepal to study at the Shedrow, would that be beneficial to them?
Yeah, the online courses are a really great option for most people who aren't able to make a long trip to Nepal, or aren't able to take some years off of work or family life or whatever. So yeah, they offer both Buddhist studies and classical Tibetan online courses, and you can kind of work at your own pace and also get feedback from me. I'm teaching both levels of classical Tibetan.
What? Nice.
So those are a great option for anyone who's still wants to do the same type of studies, but isn't able to, make the long trip over here.
Okay.
And they also have, for those who are less interested in study, but more interested in the actual practice itself, they have the online Tara program, which I think, Marvin, you've been participating in.
Yes, I'm on the second excellence. It's called the Torahs Triple Excellence. And I would recommend that program to anyone who wants to learn about Buddhism, to understand Buddhist philosophy, and also have a concrete, solid foundation to becoming a Buddhist. So, I encourage anyone with any religious path that they may choose to investigate it, to study it. But if you decide that Buddhism is the right thing for you, you definitely want to sign up for the Triple Excellence. I can tell you that the first Excellence was my entire first year in Nepal. And it was the exact same thing, but just all in English. And the thing about the Triple Excellence is that it's phenomenal because each and every single day you have a teaching, and it's a different teaching, and you have homework, things that you're supposed to do throughout the day, things, and it could be something to contemplate, or it could be a way to see other beings around you, or just something to think about as you go throughout your day. So it gives you a really solid foundation to start off on the Buddhist path. So I would definitely recommend it to anyone and everyone. It has changed my life. It has kept me sane since I've come back from Nepal. And it's the people who went to make this program, Lowell and I, we know a lot of them, and these are truly dedicated practitioners who just have one goal in mind, which is to help all sentient beings. And they truly have done that with the Triple Excellence. So I'll definitely provide a link for that inside of my show notes, and I recommend anyone and everyone to sign up for that.
Great.
So with the Shedrow online program, can you learn Sanskrit? I was just curious about that.
No, I think currently they only have online courses for Buddhist studies and classical
Hmm.
Tibetan.
Okay. All right. So what's next for you, Lowell? So after this, what do you plan to do with this wealth of knowledge that you have and this experience in teaching others Tibetan? What do you want to do next?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Honestly, I don't have an answer right now. I
Okay.
just finished my master's last fall, and you
Congratulations.
know, um, and yeah, having studied at the Shedrow for 4 years, sometimes it gets quite intense, and you feel like it's never going to finish. It did finish, and I found myself in sort of this interesting state of mind where suddenly, the future seems so uncertain, and at
Hmm.
first it was, yeah, it was a little difficult, I have to be honest. Just kind of sat with it, and with time, I realized that it's this kind of the uncertainty of the future
Hmm.
is you can look at it and it can be scary, or you can look at it and it can be a beautiful thing. You can see that there's just endless possibilities. So so I kind of changed my mind and changed my perspective. And really, I think I just want to keep reading the Buddhist texts, doing some
Hmm.
translations, and keep practicing. So
Okay.
I'm not sure what form that's going to take. I've thought about maybe teaching English in Tibet and continuing to study and practice. But
Wow.
yeah, right now it's uncertain.
So what's it like at the Shedrow when you're learning? So, I think for a lot of people, they think, well, a Buddhist school, do people just sit around and sit on a cushion all day and meditate, all day and get graded off of their meditation? Or maybe they think it's like meditation and some form of yoga. But so what is it like?
Right. So the Shedra, yeah, a lot of people come to Nepal thinking, oh, Buddhist studies, it's going to be really chill, relaxing, just going to meditate. They'll tell us some stuff
Hmm.
about Buddhism. But actually, the studies here are quite intense. Um, and I mean, of course, people do different levels of intensity. Some people take
Hmm.
more classes, some take less. But yeah, the Shedra has a really unique approach in that there's three main types of classes. So there's language, which is pretty straightforward. You can study Nepali, the national language of Nepal, Sanskrit, and classical Tibetan or colloquial Tibetan. Um, and we kind of already talked about those. They
Hmm.
have kind of a traditional Buddhist studies and more modern Buddhist studies. So the traditional Buddhist studies is taught by a Lopan, which is the word for like a Tibetan, a monastic professor.
Hmm.
And that's usually with a translator. So you meet 5 days a week for an hour and a half, and they just go through the scriptures and give a commentary to it. And you're expected to memorize verses. You basically get the experience of studying in a monastery, how monks or nuns would study. That was one thing uh, me and a lot of other people were kind of shocked by that. Like I had this image of monks and the Lopans being, very conservative, kind of cut off from the world. You
Hmm.
know, the monks here are very much in touch with what's going on in the world. Often they
Hmm.
know more about news back home in America than I do, and yeah, they're socially connected. And on top
I'm
of
sure
that,
they know
they're
the Cash Me Outside girl. I'm sure they know. Lowell doesn't know, but I'm sure the Lopon knows about Cash Me Outside. That's no, that's cool. It's and you're right. So you go, and different traditions have different customs, I guess you would say. So as far as the Tibetan monastics are concerned, just like Lowell said, they're they're up to date. They're on social media. You see them out at restaurants. You're definitely gonna interact with them. Um, and it's a good thing. I think it helps. It helps to have a good balance, you know.
Yeah.
But I'll definitely include some links for the Shedrow. It's ryi.org. If you want to go there and check it out, I'll provide the links for that. Also, I would encourage anyone who is considered about going to the Shedrow to check out that website. There's also some courses there that you can download and you can take, just to kind of give you a taste of what life is like at the Shedrow. There's some great videos on there. Also, if you go to dharmasun.org, which is where the Triple Excellence is located, there are free Dharma talks. So Chokyi Nyima Rinpoche gives teachings on Saturdays, a lot of Saturdays, and there are backlogs, like going way back, going years back, and they have his Dharma teachings there and the Saturday talk. So I would definitely, and that is free. That's 100% free. All you have to do is sign up for the website, which is free, and you can see those talks and kind of see what it's like for Shedrow students. See how Shedrow students spend their Saturday mornings. So you might see me and you might see Lowell in a couple of those videos. So, but thank you so much, Lowell, for taking the time to speak with me and to let people know about the Shedrow and the incredible work that you're doing there. And I just wish you nothing but the best on this venture right now with teaching the classical Tibetan, and also anything that you're doing in the future. And who knows, I might be a student of yours very soon, so please be gentle with me, speak slowly, write clearly, and I definitely will be complaining about something. So
Great. Thank you, Marvs. Yeah, it's great to be here, and I wish you the best with the rest of the episodes for your podcast. And I think it's really great work that you're doing, helping just helping all of us stay connected, all of us who are interested in different spiritual paths and exploring that. So thank you, and look forward to seeing you in Nepal soon.
Oh yeah. All right, well, thank you, Lowell. And a very special thank you to everyone who's listening to this podcast. Please visit my website, millennialbuddhist.com. You can also get in contact with me through Facebook and Instagram, Millennial Buddhist. Let me know what you think. If you like it, if you don't like it, if you want to see something change, or maybe there's someone you want to hear from, definitely hit me up on social media, and stay tuned for our next episode.